We unwittingly placed an order for a child. The only trauma this poor kid ever experienced was because we essentially placed an order for a child. She was home and happy with her mother and her family until we, like I said,
they selected her for us.
Selected her, Jessica and Adam Davis say, because they were willing to pay thousands of dollars to adopt Namata from Uganda. They say they were told by their adoption agency that Mata had been orphaned, only to find out later that wasn't the case at all. Mata wasn't an orphan. She and her family were duped. They believe she was pulled from her home and placed in an orphanage after the adoption agency had found the American couple, buyers in a sense, with money to adopt a child. The name of that adoption agency? European Adoption Consultants, headquartered in Ohio. It's the same adoption agency that Stacy and Sean Wells used. They adopted a young girl named Viola. Now, both families believe the girls were part of a wider money-making scheme to sell Ugandan children to American families. Both the Davises and the Wells reunited the girls with their families in Uganda.
Well, was it hard to leave her?
It was very hard. And I realized at that moment, she still felt like my daughter. And she still does to that moment. I knew she was where she was meant to be.
And both families say all of the heartache and outrage lies squarely at the feet of European Adoption Consultants, or EAC, which CNN has learned is now under investigation by both the State Department and the FBI. But was EAC part of a scheme to traffic children for profit? Or perhaps were they simply unaware of what was going on in Uganda? And the questions for the agency don't end there.
How could Jessica Davis and Stacy Wells have ended up with children who may never have actually been orphaned? That's what we wanted to know, and it led us here to Lake Dallas, Texas. Behind these gates lives the head of the EAC's African Adoption Program. But getting her to answer our questions was a challenge. I'm trying to find Deborah Paris.
Deborah Paris is her name. After trying to reach her by phone numerous times, we followed her for more than an hour by car, hoping to get answers for these families.
Deborah.
What?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry. I'm Randy Kay with CNN.
Yeah.
Well, we spoke to some women who had adopted children from Uganda, and they said that they were lied to. I know you ran the program for European Adoption Consultants.
I did not. There was 4 people.
You were involved in the program for.
I'm not.
Both Jessica and Stacy say Deborah Paris was their main point of contact, the one who called them and told them what turned out to be false stories about the girls' family history. Both describe Paris as aggressive on the phone, demanding an answer right away as to whether or not they'd take the child. Deborah Paris denied having anything to do with the adoptions of children, seemingly orphaned for profit.
The women in Uganda, the mothers, say that they never meant for their children to be adopted. You helped organize these adoptions. Can you answer that question? Were they lied to?
I did not organize these adoptions.
Despite her pushback about her role, Deborah Paris refers to herself in this email to a reporter as the director of Africa program for EAC.
You were the head of the Ugandan adoption program for...
Was not. Margaret Cole was.
Margaret Cole is the owner of European Adoption Consultants. This is her making a pitch for orphans in Panama.
They need food, they need some medicine.
Cole started European Adoption Consultants back in 1991. Since then, the agency has handled inter-country adoptions in more than a dozen countries, including Uganda, Bulgaria, Honduras, and Haiti. It's based in Strongsville, Ohio, which is where we hope to find Margaret Cole, so we could ask her some questions too. 6 different addresses and no luck. Calls to various phone numbers, also a dead end. This home of hers was raided by the FBI back in February, and so were the adoption agency's offices. Investigators left with boxes of evidence. In 2016, the State Department determined that EAC had exhibited a pattern of serious, willful, or grossly negligent failure to comply with standards for international adoption. As a result, it debarred the adoption agency, ordering it to cease all adoption services for 3 years. Among the key findings, EAC failed to engage in practices to prevent the sale, abduction, exploitation, or trafficking of children. It said the failure to provide adequate supervision contributed to many of the violations described above. Also, that EAC failed safety procedures that prevent solicitation of bribes and fraudulently obtaining birth parents' consent. The State Department determined EAC offered consideration to birth parents to induce them to release their children for adoption.
They are getting the orphans because there's a dollar sign.
The U.S. State Department also found that EAC failed to take the proper steps to make sure birth parents consented to the termination of their parental rights in accordance with applicable laws.
Were these mothers lied to?
No, absolutely not.
These women say that they ended up buying a child instead of adopting a child.
The lawyer who processed the adoptions for EAC at God's Mercy Orphanage is this woman, Dora Marembe. We spoke with her by phone, and she denied any wrongdoing by God's Mercy. She also insisted children are not being trafficked in Uganda through orphanages, and that neither she nor EAC ever trafficked children. She also said that the biological mothers of Namada and Viola did know their daughters were being adopted and taken to America. All of that despite the Ugandan government telling us that it shut down God's Mercy Orphanage because it was illegally processing guardianship orders and trafficking children, and the Ugandan courts finding that Mada's mother had been lied to. What's unclear is how widespread the alleged trafficking scheme may be. CNN's investigation found it doesn't end with Viola and Mada. Viola's mother is still missing 2 other daughters who were adopted or sold off to American families. And remarkably, those families are aware they have children that never should have been orphaned, Karen Riley told us. She's an advocate for Ugandan children who runs a group called Reunite Uganda.
Both families are aware of the truth. They haven't responded back to me, but they appear to be continuing to live their lives and let the children believe what they've been told, and some of which is not true at all.
The Davises still speak to Namada via Skype. She is back in school and enjoying her new baby sister. The Wells have kept in touch with Viola, too. The 2 girls are now close friends in their village and have blossomed since returning home. Meanwhile, both Jessica Davis and Stacey Wells have been interviewed by the FBI, which declined to talk about the investigation with CNN.
Birth mothers, the most vulnerable birth mothers on the planet, are being taken advantage of in this way so that people can profit from adoption.
Anderson, Jessica and Adam Davis figure they spent about $65,000 adopting Mada, only to end up bringing her back to Uganda. Now, that includes adoption fees and all of their trips. And Stacey Wells told me that she and her husband spent their life savings adopting Viola. As of now, neither family expects to get any of that money back. And also, I should note that no charges have been filed against Margaret Cole, Deborah Paris, or the European adoption consultants. The lawyer in Uganda who handled these adoptions also has not been charged. Meanwhile, it is possible, Anderson, that the adoption agency was simply negligent here, unaware, based on lack of background checks, that the children it was getting from Uganda were being trafficked. In other words, it could be that EAC is also a victim of this apparent trafficking scheme. We would have the answer to that question if the owner of EAC, Margaret Cole, would respond to our request for comment. In the meantime, the investigation is ongoing. Anderson?
Kidnapping 777. Kidnapping 777. Kidnapping 777. Kidnapping 777. Kidnapping, trafficking, using, alienating, killing, foster prison, foster slave, domestic terrorism, crimes against humanity, international agenda, CPS, kidnappers, social workers, police officers, state children, promoting health, force, fraud, lies, fabrication, tampering, evidence, official oppression, malice, conspiracy, corrupt courts, corrupt judges, corrupt dependency, lawyers, government, trafficking children, CPS, kidnappers, child protective service, steal children by force, fraud, fabrication, tampering, evidence, official oppression, malice, CPS, kidnappers, all day, every day, still children. Kidnapping, trapping, trapping, trapping. Kidnapping, trapping, trapping, trapping. Kidnapping, trapping, trapping, trapping. Kidnapping, trapping, trapping, trapping. Kidnapping, trafficking, using, alienating, killing, foster prison, foster slave, domestic terrorism, crimes against humanity, international agenda, CPS, kidnappers, social workers, police officers, stealing children from money homes by force, fraud, lies, fabrication.
You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own. Oh, welcome everyone, CPS News Network. Stumbling across some breaking news. Some of the biggest news that we've ever uncovered. We're at missingkidsla.org. We just did a search for runaways and we went to the back of the book. Going to the back of the book. We find Ryan Draper. We profiled him earlier today. He's the 2-month-old runaway. But oh my God, look what else we found. We found other runaway babies. 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 Again, this one ran at 1-year-old. This one ran at 5-year-old. This one ran away at 4-year-old. This one ran away at 2-year-old. So we're showing you a cluster of foster babies that Child Protective Service says ran away. I'm going straight to the profile. Please share this. This is the biggest breaking content likely we've ever come across. We seem to have stumbled over it. I'm going to trying to get to the it's a very somber time. Please share this. This is as breaking as it can possibly get. I'm scared to change the channel because I've tried to do searches again on another station and it wouldn't allow me to do it. I don't want to lose this, so I just want to make sure this gets recorded. Again, we're showing multiple people. Again, first name Dream Goyes, age 1. Babies. Okay, yeah. You're looking at a monster from hell. Again, Devontae McGowan. And okay, look at this. Look what we see here. Help me here. You're witnessing it as eyewitness. I've never seen this before. You're uncovering it and seeing what I'm seeing. Tefani left the foster family home with infant son Devontae. Okay. Saying that the mother with the baby. Why would the child be listed as runaway? Why wouldn't the child be listed as abducted? I don't understand that. They have jurisdiction over the child. A lot to figure out there. We're going to keep moving.